Welcome to the first episode of our six-part series on the life of one of the most infamous serial killers in American history, Ted Bundy. Over the next 6 episodes, we will delve into the life, crimes, and psychology of a man who, despite his charming exterior, harbored a darkness that would shock the world. Today, we begin with Ted Bundy's early life, exploring the factors that may have shaped the mind of a killer. Ted Bundy was born on November 24, 1946, in Burlington, Vermont, under the name Theodore Robert Caldwell. His mother, Eleanor Louise Caldwell, was just 22 years old and unmarried at the time of his birth, a fact that carried significant social stigma in the 1940s. Because of this, Ted was raised by his grandparents, Samuel and Eleanor Caldwell, and was led to believe that his mother was actually his sister. This lie would become one of the many secrets that marked his early years. Growing up, Ted was described as a shy and introverted child, but this outward appearance masked a deeper inner turmoil. His relationship with his grandfather, who was described as a violent and bigoted man, was particularly troubling. Samuel Caldwell was known to have a fierce temper, and some reports suggest that he may have been abusive towards both his wife and young Ted. These early experiences with violence and instability may have planted the seeds of the psychological issues that would later emerge in Bundy's life. Despite these early challenges, Ted Bundy was an intelligent and seemingly well-adjusted young man. In school, he was known for his good looks and charm, qualities that would later become his tools of manipulation. However, beneath this charming exterior, Ted struggled with feelings of alienation and insecurity. He had difficulty forming meaningful relationships and often felt out of place among his peers. Ted's teenage years were marked by an increasing sense of isolation. His family moved to Tacoma, Washington, when he was still young, and it was there that he began to develop an obsession with crime and violence. He was particularly drawn to stories of murder and sexual violence, and he began to fantasize about committing such acts himself. These dark fantasies, coupled with his growing feelings of inadequacy and resentment, began to shape the path that would lead him towards his later crimes. One of the most significant events of Ted's young life occurred when he was in his mid-teens. It was then that he discovered the truth about his parentage, that his sister was actually his mother, and his parents were actually his grandparents. This revelation was a profound shock to Ted, and is often cited as a turning point in his psychological development. The betrayal he felt upon learning the truth about his family may have fueled the anger and resentment that would later characterize his interactions with women. Ted Bundy's early life was a complex mix of charm and darkness. On one hand, he was a bright, charismatic young man with a promising future. On the other, he was a deeply troubled individual who struggled with feelings of inadequacy, anger, and a growing fascination with violence. As we close this first chapter of Ted Bundy's life, it's important to remember that the seeds of his later crimes were sown early. The combination of a troubled family life, feelings of alienation, and a fascination with violence set the stage for what would become one of the most notorious killing sprees in American history. In the next episode, we'll explore Ted Bundy's college years, his early relationships, and the first signs that something was deeply wrong beneath the surface. We'll look at how a young man with so much potential began to descend into the darkness that would ultimately consume him. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the life of Ted Bundy. If you found this episode intriguing, please subscribe and leave a review. Your support helps us to continue bringing you these deep dives into the minds of some of history's most infamous figures. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.